the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick now says that tariffs on nearly all products from Mexico and Canada will likely get delayed by 1 month. President Trump could make that announcement later today, but as of now, those 25% tariffs are still in place, and it comes a day after the White House said it's granting a 1-month exemption on any autos coming into the country. We're joined now by the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford. Premier Ford, thanks so much for joining us. You've been very critical of these tariffs, which is understandable. Does this 1-month pause that we're hearing about from the Commerce Secretary today on the auto tariffs and these other tariffs as well ease any of your concerns?
Well, first of all, Wolf, thank you so much for having me on. And I start every interview with saying I love the Americans, I love the U.S., but what a mess President Trump has created here. The only thing certain on these 30 days is uncertainty. We've seen investments stall in the U.S. They've seen jobs are going to, people are going to lose their jobs, and inflation's happening. Everything's going to go up, and assembly lines will shut down if he continues. I have an idea. Let's just drop these tariffs. Let's sit down and renegotiate the USMCA deal that he created. It hasn't changed since he was in office, and he said it was the greatest deal ever. So let's move forward, and let's bring certainty back. Let's keep the assembly lines going in the U.S., and let's start moving forward. And the two strongest countries in the world will build the U.S. economy, the likes of which the U.S. has never seen before. But we have to drop these tariffs.
I know you've threatened, Premier, to hit back twice as hard on these U.S. tariffs by cutting off energy exports to the U.S., ripping up a contract with Elon Musk's company, as we all know. What do you think is going to happen?
Isn't that a shame that we have to put a tariff on the electricity? You know, I think the world of all three governors in New York and Michigan and Minnesota. Just talked to Governor Walz, which is an incredible individual. I don't want to do this. I want to send more electricity. But he's basically, President Trump, it's not the American people. It's not even the Republicans or Democrats, because I talked to both of them. Republicans totally disagree with it, but God forbid they ever go out publicly and say it. Let's just put an end to this, and let's start building our economy. But as of this Monday, we're putting a tariff, 25% tariff on the electricity to the 1.5 million homes and businesses in those three states. And honestly, it really bothers me. We have to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to send more electricity, more critical minerals, more oil. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's so important. President Trump has repeatedly expressed his desire, as you well know, to make Canada the 51st state of the United States, and he refers to Prime Minister Trudeau as the governor. I see the background behind you right now. The sign says, "Canada is not for sale," right next to the Canadian flag. Do you see those comments from Trump as doing lasting potential damage to this wonderful, over the many years, relationship between these two longtime allies?
Well, the closest friends, closest allies in the world for over 200 years. The rest of the world are watching us. You know, as China is bringing in cheap parts, undermining American workers and Canadian workers. That's the issue, not your closest ally and friends, your number one customer in the world. And hopefully we can amend this relationship. And I can tell you, all Canadians love Americans. It's one person, and that's President Trump, that's creating mass chaos right across North America and honestly around the world right now. Over what? I know what it's about. It's about his $4.5 trillion tax cut that he can't afford right now, and he wants to pick those costs up off other countries. I take the total opposite approach, Wolf. Let's build the economy. Let's create more revenues. That's what we've done. I've never raised a tax in my life. There's no reason to.
Prime Minister Trudeau spoke with President Trump on the phone for nearly an hour yesterday. We're told Trudeau's office called the conversation, quote, productive. If you could speak with President Trump directly, Premier, what would your message be to him?
Exactly what I was just saying, Wolf. Let's stop the chaos, the uncertainty, assembly plants shutting down, jobs being lost on both sides of the border. But the American people, the pension funds that they've worked their whole lives for, they're being hurt. the market the other day dropped $3 trillion and it bounced a little back. And it's like a roller coaster right now. And as you know, because you're a super smart guy, Wolf, the worst thing the market hates is uncertainty. Everyone hates uncertainty. Investment hates uncertainty. So let's get down to the table. Let's start talking about the USMCA deal, and let's resolve this once and for all to give certainty to the people, the United States and Canada, two greatest countries in the world.
Canadian Foreign Minister Mélanie Joly joins us now from Toronto. Foreign Minister, welcome to the program. Can I first start with what is directly hitting your country? It is, I think your Prime Minister said, a trade war. The US has launched a trade war. Can you tell me how this is affecting you? And did you ever expect your closest, ally with a 5,000-mile border to get into this kind of fight with you?
Well, this is completely unjustified and unjustifiable coming from the Trump administration. Canada is the biggest trading partner to the US. We're the biggest client. We buy more from American businesses than the UK, France, China, and Japan combined. So when President Trump actually imposes 25% tariffs against our economy and starts a trade war, he is actually going after his own American people, because this will cost more for them at the pump, at the grocery store, or when they buy a new house or they want to do renovations. So this will drive the cost of things and products and cost of living in the US, and it will actually also hurt a lot of jobs in the US, and a lot of people will lose their job. So there's nobody that is winning out of this, but President Trump still is continuing to attack the Canadian economy, and therefore also the American people's cost of living.
So he just announced a 30-day reprieve, and also with Mexico. I think in Canada, it's specifically on auto parts or the auto industry, after being lobbied, I believe, by the U.S. auto industry. And you have said, but hang on a second, we're not going to go through, quote, this psychodrama every 30 days. What is this on and off again thing? What does that do to a nation's economy?
Well, of course, we can't go through that drama every single 30 days because this is creating too much uncertainty. And we know that business investments is allergic to any form of uncertainty. And we know also that President Trump wants to attract more of the investments to his own country, going against the very trade agreement that has bound us for many, many years. So my point is this: we need to make sure that we are able to bring back certainty. But while doing that, and of course, being in charge of the Canadian diplomacy, I'll be working on off-ramps. We'll find a way to get through this, but we are standing strong in Canada. Because, Kirsten, what's important for viewers to understand right now is the Trump administration has not only put trade as an issue on the table, they've been presenting many other things, including military cooperation, security and intelligence cooperation, water cooperation, and I could go on and on and on. And that's enough. Canadians have had enough. We're a strong country. We will defend our sovereignty. We'll defend our jobs. We'll defend our way of living. And we will make sure that at the same time, the very targets of this trade war, the American people, are very much aware and are putting pressure on the president that is doing all of that to them and to us.
So that was pretty straightforward, what you just did. That's enough. Prime Minister Trudeau has also said the same, and he's responded, and he says in the next few weeks, I believe, tariffs on $100 billion of American goods coming in. And you've said it's an existential threat to you. Just a quick question. The Trump administration, the president says, too much fentanyl, too many migrants coming across the border.
Well, that's not true, because fundamentally, less than 1% of fentanyl actually comes from Canada to the US. We know that there's a scourge of fentanyl in North America. We know that too many Canadians and American lives are being taken by this catastrophic drug. But fundamentally, we have a very strong and secure border. We have $1.3 billion worth of investment in our new border plan. We've invested in more boots on the ground, Black Hawk helicopters, a new fentanyl strike force with the Americans. We also have a new fentanyl czar. We've done everything that was required under the executive order that President Trump signed to legitimize, to give him the powers to impose these tariffs. But clearly, this is not the issue right now. This is a pretext. This is not the right argument, because fundamentally, the US is a net exporter of illegal migrants, of illegal guns, and illegal drugs to Canada. So what is at stake is more than that. President Trump wants to put us into a state where we are much more weakened economically in order eventually to annex us. He said that. He's questioned our border as well. So while we've been working on the diplomatic level and
today we woke up to a trade war that is unwanted, unwarranted, and illegal. Canadians didn't want this. And Trump isn't doing this for border security. He's doing this because he wants power over us. So to Canadians, I say this: Trump will not win. We will be united, we will stand up, and we will fight back. But as we fight back, we have to remember, it's more important than ever to take care of one another. And so my promise to you is this: I will fight to protect those workers that are impacted by the tariffs by improving EI. I won't only protect our jobs, I will create more jobs in this country by building Canadian. And for families worried about the cost of things going up at a time when they're already so high, I'll fight to make life more affordable. I know the times in front of us will be trying, they'll be difficult, but I believe in Canada. I believe in Canadians. And I know we'll get through this together.
So Trump is bending the knee, guys. I said this would happen. I was one of the first to call a couple days ago where he was hinting at it, and there was the whole thing where his commerce secretary basically went on to Fox and was like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, and obviously this was coming. Now, again, he could start it up again, but this is a major back down with regard to both Canada and Mexico. What this really means is that I guess he's getting rid of the most blatantly illegal part. As Jagmeet Singh said there, I quote him again, he was right in saying that this was an illegal move, right? The president does have the authority in the United States, and this is something that Congress should take back, frankly. They have the authority to kind of handle tariffs, but Trump made his own trade deal. Like, his own tariff policy violates his own excellent deal. Remember, they were calling it the greatest deal ever. And so he's backing down. What this demonstrates is that when Canada and Mexico, both together, standing together, but also within each country, stand strong and have solidarity, Trump will crumble. Because Canada and Mexico are more united than they've been in a long time internally. But America has not been this divided in a very long time. And Donald's tariff dumbassery is the reason this is happening.